Welcome to Marketing 111. My name's Greg. Sometimes I'm known as Dr. Greg Watson, Professor Watson, but in my class I prefer to just be called Greg. So welcome to Marketing 111. This is a fun class. It's a fast-paced class, a little bit better than an 8-week version, but 14-week version. We're going to power through a lot of really fun and exciting classes. I love marketing. I think marketing is ethical. We get to connect the right customer with the right product at the right time. So let's walk real quickly through what our course is going to look like. If we log into Marketing 111, in the Start Here folder, there's a schedule of work, and it's titled 14-Week Late Start. So last week, starting Thursday through Sunday, you were supposed to complete the Start Here module, which has the course contract, that extra credit, orientation to online learning, and intro to discussion. And then we had this funky little Tableau public introductory assignment. There's no way that you can get anything wrong on this assignment. It just simply says, hey, check out some marketing metrics. Choose one or two marketing metrics and tell me a little bit about what you think that they mean. And so you click on this web page. It opens up all kinds of funky, interesting marketing statistics. And you get to then just evaluate it and try to figure out, what do one or two of these marketing metrics mean to me? Now, we also ask you to read this one other real fun introductory assignment. It's called this Initial Contact Marketing Specialist Profile. About halfway through the semester, we're going to give you an assignment that asks you to go out and introduce yourself and interview someone that actually does marketing. And here's a key tip for you. I want you to strategically use this assignment for your benefit. So while the assignment instructions tell you to go find someone in a business that does marketing, I'm going to suggest that you go find a company that you want to get an internship at, that you want to get a summer job at, or maybe a business that you want to strategically work at someday. Because if you reach out to them and say, you know, I'm taking marketing and I have an assignment that asked me to interview someone, who's going to tell you no? And can you get your foot in the door simply by saying, hey, I'm a student and I've got an interview assignment? Well, this is a way for you to get your foot in the door. So I'm going to encourage you to use this as a strategic opportunity, not as a simple marketing assignment. So if you want to do it the boring way, you just go find someone that does something associated with marketing, or somebody that owns a small business and they try to handle marketing for their business, whether it's successful or not. And you just get them to express a few opinions about marketing and how marketing is going for their business. And then you write that up in an assignment, and it's real fun, and you just write it up and turn it in. But if you want to do what's best for you, which is the way I would prefer that you do this assignment, you start thinking about this assignment strategically now at the beginning of the semester, and you take the next month and a half, 2 months, and you find that ideal person that you really want to target, and you use it to try to get your foot in the door for an internship, a summer job, or maybe even a future job opportunity. So I think it's a really cool assignment. So we're just asking you to take a look at that assignment right now. There's nothing graded right now, nothing to turn in right now, but there will be an assignment later on in the semester where you're going to turn this interview in. But start thinking about who you want to interview and how do you want to use it for your best interest. Not what's in the best interest for me, but what's in the best interest for you. So hopefully you got all of your introductory, I call it housekeeping assignments, that we have at all of the beginning of our courses done last week. And we're going to start Module 1. So in Module 1, we're just starting to read Chapter 1 and Chapter 5, and this is what all of our modules are going to look like. We're not reading the entire chapter, we're just reading small sections of it. So like Chapter 1.1, 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, 9.1, 1.5, 1.7, 3.2. And we've got these sequenced out so that if you read them in order, you're sort of covering the concepts that we want you to learn about. And we've got two different open education resource textbooks. These are free OER textbooks that are digitally available to you here in D2L for you. One is Principles of Marketing from OpenStax, and one is Introduction to Marketing by Burnett. And both of these are digitally available here in the course for you and are free. So there's no licensing, there's no fees, nothing's going to get charged to you. Every module is going to start out with something that's called a matching game activity. This is basically what I would call keyword. It's basically teaching you the vocabulary of the module. So that way when you do a real quick skim through of this reading, because I know nobody's actually going to read the whole thing detail by detail, this is the keywords. And so as soon as you're done reading, click on this matching game activity. And then you'll know that, yes, I did actually pick up all of the key concepts that are in here. Sometimes there's 5 words, sometimes there's 10 words. This matching game activity is just picking up all of the key concepts out of that assigned reading. So if you do the matching game right after the assigned reading, then you'll know, yes, I picked up all the key concepts that I need to know for the module that I need to be able to use in the assignments. Also, there's some, it's called a discussion, but there's some supplemental reading material in a digital tool called Perusal. Now, in some classes, if you've used Perusal in some other classes, there are some instructors that make this really, really complicated. In my class, it's not complicated at all. Perusal is a supplemental reading material. And I've got the instructor version, so I can't see it the way that it shows up for you as students. But when you log into Perusal, it's going to open up a new digital app someplace else. And this is the way it's going to open up. It's going to give you about 3 pages of digital supplemental reading material. And when it comes up like this, you've got some material to read. So there's 3-4 pages in this one right here. And what I need you to do is just find something that you think is relevant, like your own unique value proposition. So what is your own unique value proposition? And if you just highlight that, a comment box pops up in the right-hand side and you post a comment. Now in my class, here's a secret. 60% of the grade for this is just given to you by opening this up. 30% of your grade is given to you by highlighting a piece of text and making an intelligent comment. Now, your comments are graded by artificial intelligence. And so if you make a really crappy comment, it might not give you that full 30%. So you can't just say me too or something that's really, really crappy. You need to put in some kind of a legitimate and halfway intelligent comment. But if you think about what Perusal is really like, it's like in old-fashioned days when you had a physical book. Really smart students didn't buy a brand new book. They bought a used book from a student that was one of those excellent students that got really good grades, because they knew that those really good grade students had already marked up the book. They'd already underlined all the key concepts. They wrote notes in the margins. And so all the really important stuff in the textbook had already been marked up. And that's what Perusal really is. It's your classmates highlighting and marking up the stuff that they think is relevant, that they think is important. And so when you go through and you see what your classmates have highlighted, what your classmates have commented on, it's like getting that used textbook from one of those really smart students. You're getting to see the notes and the comments from all of your classmates about this reading material. And that's the value of Perusal. You're getting those yellow highlighters in that physical textbook. You're getting the underlined in that physical textbook. You're getting those margin notes and those margin comments in the physical textbook. So in my class, the grading is really, really easy. There's a lot of other things. In some of these, there's videos, and if you make 2 or 3 comments, it's possible to actually get up to 200% on the grade for these assignments. But most of us just don't really care about that much. We just want to get it done. So I want you to just log in, skim it really quickly, find that key concept that you think is relevant and you think is important, highlight it, just like I did, highlight that real simple thing like your unique value proposition, and make a comment very quickly. That's all you have to do for your Perusal assignments. So if we think about our schedule of work, we've got the matching game activity after we read, we've got the Perusal after we read, and then we've got these interactive videos. And for every single one of our modules, we will typically have 1 or 2 interactive videos. And this is where we went out to industry and we found people that were involved in marketing, and we recorded videos with industry professionals, entrepreneurs that are doing marketing, and we recorded short videos, and typically there's about 5 questions that are embedded in those videos, and you get to hear from real people in industry, their thoughts and their comments about how they are applying marketing out in the real world. So watch those. Typically they're 5 to 7, 8, 9 minutes. Most of them are not terribly long. And so watch those videos, and they're relatively valuable. I think that they're useful from a real world perspective. And that's a whole lot better than the theory that we get from the textbooks. So I think that you'll enjoy these. In a perfect world, we're going to get our reading done, we're going to get our matching game done, we're going to get the supplemental reading done, and the interactive videos done right at the beginning of the week. So Sunday, Monday, depending upon how you tend to get your homework done, wipe these out right at the beginning of the week. Then on Monday nights, I will typically release a class lecture. So we'll have a video lecture just like this one that I'm posting up tonight on Monday night, and that'll come out, and it will have instructions on the written assignments and the assignments that are due in this particular module. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about customer discovery, and we're going to talk a little bit about this A/B testing that's not really graded. And in next week, we will do that exact same process again. We'll have our reading, the matching game, the perusal, the interactive video, and then we'll talk about creating personas. We're actually going to create some Facebook ads and post some Facebook ads up on Padlet, and we'll do some marketing plans. So let's have a little bit of fun. Oh, I'm sorry, we're going to do the Padlet Facebook ads this week, and then we're going to actually do the customer personas of those Facebook ads next week. So let's look a little bit deeper into marketing. So marketing, my marketing systems look like this. And if that looks like a whole bunch of activity, it really is. I don't care where my traffic and my customers come from, whether it's coming from search or affiliate programs or Facebook ads or Instagram ads or TikTok or YouTube. I'm bringing traffic into my marketing world from a lot of different sources, and it might come into a blog post, it might come into a webinar, it might come into a survey, but I'm bringing it all into my ecosystem. And this is traffic that is just constantly flowing, and I'm capturing them and I'm bringing them into what we typically call a customer funnel. And I'm going to do something that's a lead capture, whether it's a webinar registration or a blog post. I'm going to capture their information. If it's a survey, I'm going to capture a little bit more data in addition to their contact information, depending upon what their source is. If it's Instagram, I'm capturing their username, and I'm getting their permission to reach back to them and communicate with them on their platform of choice. And that's important for us to understand. We want to communicate with our customers on the platform that they want to communicate, not the platform that we want to communicate, but the platform that our customers want to communicate. And eventually we're going to work them through a sales process that's going to convert into a sale, and then we're going to do follow-up for our customers that are inside of this funnel. And everything is part of what we call an integrated marketing communications plan. We have planned out this messaging, all of the activities, everything that's related to communicating, delivering, and exchanging an offer of value is strategically planned. Now, customers come into our world, come into this ecosystem of our messaging with a lot of different levels of interest. We have 2 different models that we typically describe. One is AIDA, which is attention, interest, desire, and action. At the attention stage, our customers are just beginning to explore that, oh, you know what, I have a problem and I'm starting to pay attention to it. At the interest stage, they're interested in it and they're trying to explore what their options are. At the desire stage, they finally decided, you know what, I like one or two of these options, and I'm wanting to get a solution. And then action, they've made a decision and they're going to make a purchase. We also call this the consumer buyer decision-making model. And the consumer buyer decision-making model describes this as problem recognition. The consumer recognizes that they have a problem. They go into information gathering mode. They evaluate the alternative solutions that are available to them. They make a purchase, and then they hit a post-purchase phase where they evaluate, was this a good purchase? Did I make a wise purchase? Does this satisfy me? I love the consumer buyer decision-making model because it starts with the customer recognizing that they have a problem. What is the true problem that a customer has? And that's where I always want to begin my marketing process. What is the problem that a customer has? When we can empathize and truly, genuinely understand what the problem is that the customer has and develop a solution that meets that desire that the customer has for the solution to fix that problem, then we've got a solution that the customer has the potential to be willing to pay for. Note that I said that we've got a solution that the customer may potentially be willing to pay for. They're not always willing to pay for it. Sometimes they're willing to just live with that pain, and they're not willing to actually pay for a solution. And at which point in time, then no matter how hard we try to sell it, they're just going to continue to live with that pain because they're not willing to part with the cash. It's not valuable enough for them to purchase. And so we have to create solutions that recognize the problem that the customer has and meets their wants, needs, and desires, and that they're also willing to pay for. I also love the consumer buyer decision-making model because there's a post-purchase evaluation phase. The customer is going to evaluate, am I happy with the decision that I made? And I want to satisfy the customer so much that they're so happy that they believe that they got more value in the purchase that they made than they gave me in cash. So if they gave me $20, I want them to believe that they got $25 worth of value. I want them to feel like they got an incredible bargain, an incredible deal, a real value for their purchase. And I want them to be so satisfied that they're going to come back to me over and over and over and over again. I want the customer to come back to make a purchase a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th time. The real value in marketing is not in making one sale, but the real value is in making that second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th time. So if you talk to me, I'll tell you that marketing is ethical. We are connecting the right customer with the right product at the right time, and we are delighting them so much that they think that they got more value than what they paid for, and that they're going to come back and they're going to buy from us over and over and over and over again. So some people think that marketing is sleazy. They think that marketing is yucky. Well, you know what? Everything can be used for good or everything can be used for evil. And are there people that do evil? Well, you know what? You can rip off a customer once and make a sale and make a profit once. But are you going to make a sale a second time or a third time? No. If you rip somebody off, if you cheat them, you're not going to make that second, third, fourth, fifth sale. And the real profit, the real value in business is not in making a sale once. It's in making a sale a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th time. That's the real power of marketing. And it's also ethical. And so I believe that genuine, honest marketing is connecting the right customer with the right product at the right time and doing it in a way that creates a win-win scenario where the customer feels like they got more value than they paid and they want to come back and buy from us over and over and over again. And I get that second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th sale. I get to make a lot of money from the customer over and over and over and over again. That's the real power of marketing. So what's the function of marketing? Marketing brings value to customers. Isn't that incredibly awesome? Marketing is wonderful. It brings value. It creates value for customers. It's not something that is cheap or sleazy. It is something that is credible and wonderful. It creates value for customers. When we have businesses that are seeking to identify, satisfy, and retain customers, we are bringing value to customers. And I think that's pretty incredible. So what is this really all about? It's about that exchange process, the act of obtaining an object from someone by offering them something of value in return. So customers typically give us cash and we give them a product or a service in return. They get more value than they gave us. So they get $25 worth of product and they give us $20. On our side of the equation, we get $20 and it costs us $16 to produce it. So we made a profit, the customers made a profit. It was a win-win transaction. Everyone got more value than what they gave up. The customers gave up $20 and got $25 of value. The business gave up $16 of product and received $20. Isn't that an incredible win-win transaction? I love creating win-win transactions. This is pretty incredible. That's the exchange process. That's what honest capitalism is all about. I love capitalism. I love marketing. So we identify customers. We seek to understand what the customer's wants and needs are. We identify who they are, target them, and figure out how to reach them, what social media channels they hang out on. We create solutions that meet those customers' wants and needs. So we create the right product or the right service available to the right people at the right time. And we make everyone feel better off from the exchange. Everyone gets more value than what they gave up. And that customer reflection, post-purchase evaluation, we make the customers so happy, so satisfied that the customers want to keep coming back over and over and over again. This is what we do to retain customers, and it's a win-win scenario. So a lot of people think that marketing is about sales or advertising. Well, those are just individual components of marketing. So advertising, yes, that's a function of marketing, but advertising is where we use paid notices, paid promotions in different forms of media to draw people's attention to the company, draw people's attention to our product, draw people's attention to our messaging. And we usually do that for the purposes of selling products and services. So that's just, advertising is just one of many, many tools that we use. But we also do branding. Branding is the process of creating name brand, name recognition in the consumer's mind, so that when the consumer thinks of something, that they think of our name, they think of our brand. And branding builds brand recognition, brand name in the consumer's mind, so that the first time that they think of a want, a need, and a specific product category, they think of our name. And that's incredibly, incredibly valuable. But marketing's also sales. And so sales is the process of us actually selling products or services. And if we get our marketing right, we align that sales process with the customer's wants, needs, and desires. So when we get everything aligned, sales is that process that aligns those wants, needs, and desires with the consumers, with the messaging that we are sending to the consumer. Ultimately, we want to use branding, advertising, and sales all together to create this integrated marketing messaging campaign. We use all of these components all together to create a cohesive, coherent messaging so that we connect the right customer with the right product at the right time. And that's what makes marketing so fun. That's what makes marketing so exciting, is that we connect the right customer with the right product at the right time. And I describe that as pure ethics, pure capitalism, pure ethical connection of the right customer with the right product at the right time. Isn't that just incredibly fun and exciting? So a lot of different companies have different approaches to how they think about marketing. And so some people think, you know what, I can just market better than all of my competition. So they're going to take a marketing concept or a marketing approach to the way that they build their business. And their success depends on their ability to do marketing better than their competitors. So they may have a product that is exactly like all of their competitors' product. So if you think about going to a drugstore, we have rows and rows and rows of vitamins, rows and rows of aspirin, and you might have 3, 4, 5 different versions of aspirin, all with different companies' names on it. And is there any difference between one bottle of aspirin and the next bottle of aspirin and the next bottle of aspirin? It's all this funky scientific product called acetaminophen. I never can pronounce that name, so someone's going to correct me on how to properly pronounce that scientific word for what aspirin is. But you know what? Bayer's the big brand name. Are there a lot of other generic brand names and other companies that are manufacturing that exact same product? Well, one company thinks that they can do the marketing better. Another company says, you know what, I can create the best innovative product. So I'm going to create a better product, and maybe I'm even going to do it at a lower price. And that's a company that thinks about things from the product concept. Another company says, you know what, I'm going to have the best sales teams. And so I'm going to have the best salespeople. So I'm going to outsell my competition. And so it doesn't matter what the product is like. I might have even an inferior product. Maybe somebody else has a better product, but I'm going to outsell them because I have the best sales team. And so can we outsell a product even if someone else has a better product? Absolutely we can. And then someone else, another company says, you know what, I'm just going to outproduce all of my competition, and I'm going to produce at the lowest production cost. So I'm going to be a better producer, and I'm going to produce it at a lower cost, and thus I'm going to be able to sell it at a lower price, and I'm just going to be able to be a better producer, and that's going to be my competitive advantage. So you know what, we've got lots of different products, lots of different company approaches, lots of different company styles. There is no single right or wrong way of looking at markets. But the way that we market and promote a company depends upon what the culture of a company is. And so our textbook calls these company orientations. I might just call this company culture or style or orientation, but our textbook called it approaches. So is there a right or wrong way to do this? No, there's no right or wrong way to do this. All of these are perfectly valid styles or culture. Then the company that you go to work for is probably going to have one of these 4 approaches. Now, as we go out and talk to customers, and we now have to sell this to them, we're going to meet and get acquainted with our customers. We're going to start to build relationships. They're going to test our product or check it out, and they're going to determine whether they have a satisfied experience with our product. And then they're going to decide, do they want to continue to buy or use our product? Are they going to have a sustained, committed relationship with us? So we see this happen with products all the time. Do you know people that are Pepsi people? Do you know people that are Coke people? Do you know people that are switchers? I can't switchers. Or die-hard loyalists? Well, you know what? We've got some people that have created a relationship with Pepsi or created a relationship with Coke, and they've got a satisfying experience, and they've just created, you know what, I'm a Pepsi person and I'm going to drink Pepsi, or I'm a Coke person and I'm going to drink Coke. And if you don't have it, I'm going to drink water. Do we all know that person? We all do that. And then are there some people that will just substitute? Absolutely. So we're going to create a relationship with our customers, and hopefully we're going to create a relationship that is so satisfying and so committed that we're going to have those die-hard customers that want to use our product and use our product only. So we meet and get acquainted. We find desirable target customers, including those that are likely to deliver this high lifetime customer value. We want to understand what these customers want. We want to build awareness and demand for our product, and we want to capture their business. For stage 2, we want to provide a satisfying experience. We want to measure and improve their customer satisfaction. We want to track how their needs and wants evolve. We want to develop their confidence, develop their trust, develop their goodwill. We want to make sure that we communicate our competitive advantage, why our product is better than the competition, and keep them loyal and faithful to us. And we want to continue to monitor competitive activity. What are our competitors doing? And we sometimes need to counter them, because when our competitors go after our clients, we need to be on the defensive, and we need to make sure that we protect our customer relationships, because we want to maintain a long, committed relationship with our customers. We want to keep our customers as loyal repeat customers, because we want them to come back over and over and over again. We don't want one-time customers. We don't want those one-time customers that are expensive to attract and create a limited profit. We want the customers that are going to be repeat customers, that we spent the money to attract them once. Now we want to be able to retain them, keep them, and make profit off of them over and over and over and over again. And that means anticipating and responding to their evolving needs, deepening relationships, expanding our reach, and taking care of their changing, evolving needs. We call this the customer lifetime value. And this is the long-term relationship that we want to create with our customers. And the customer lifetime value predicts how much profit the company will make from our customer during his or her lifetime relationship with the company. How strong of a relationship do we need in order to create that happy customer so that they return to buy more goods and services over and over and over again? This is the power, this is the incredible, wonderful relationship that we want to create with our customers, because it not only helps us make money from that one customer, but they're going to give us positive reviews, they're going to give us word of mouth, they're going to give us referrals, they're going to engage with our brand. And that is incredibly powerful. So do we love long-term relationships with customers? Absolutely. We want them coming back to us over and over again. Now, some people ask, is there a difference between for-profit companies and not-for-profit companies? You know what? Is there any difference between a for-profit company and a non-profit company? And fundamentally, I'm going to tell you, no difference. Whether we're in a regular business class or whether we're in a marketing class, from a revenue and an expense perspective, does a for-profit company have to make more revenue than the expenses that they expend? And does a not-for-profit company non-profit organization still have to bring in more revenue than the expenses that they have going out? So we may have different vocabulary, but the bottom line is that both are still businesses. Now, the difference might be who pays. So we typically think of a for-profit company as the person that we sell to is the person who pays and also the person who consumes. And in a not-for-profit organization, we often think about the person who pays as being someone like a donor, and the person who consumes as being the recipient of whatever the beneficial service that non-profit organization pays. But do we have the exact same situation with an awful lot of products and services that for-profit companies sell? What about sugary breakfast cereal like Fruit Loops? Who pays? Who consumes? We have non-profit children, recipients, and donor parents. Well, those aren't the labels that we use, but is that the exact same situation that we have with nonprofits? Do we have one person that is the recipient of a product or service of the organization and a different person that pays? Well, a little child is the one that goes, "Mommy, Mommy, Mommy, I want Fruit Loops. Daddy, 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 I want Fruit Loops." And does someone else pay? Absolutely. So there's no difference between for-profits and nonprofits. We need to understand, who are we marketing to? Who is the recipient? Who is the beneficiary? Who is the decision maker? Who is the influencer? We have lots of different people that we market to. So we need to understand who are the customers, who are the consumers, and the customer and the consumer are not always the same person. So here in this case, mom is the person that is paying, but the consumer is the two little children going, "Mom, Mom, Mom, I want Apple Jacks, I want Fruit Loops," and we are not always marketing to them. So we need to understand who is the customer, who is the consumer. And a lot of that goes back to understanding the customer's pain point. And this is learning to understand empathy. Empathy. What is the pain? What is the problem that the customer is experiencing? And it doesn't matter whether this is a for-profit business or whether this is a non-profit business. What is the pain or problem that we are trying to solve? Someone has a pain or problem that needs to be solved, and what is the solution that they want to have addressed? So we've got a couple of assignments. From a pure data perspective, you were asked to take a look at the Tableau assignment and just look at 2 marketing metrics and tell us what you thought that those data points were. This week we're going to actually create an assignment. We're actually going to create an assignment, a Facebook ad for Paw Guard, a dog safety collar. And then we're going to post it out to Padlet, and we're going to then as a class vote on which one of the ads we like best. And we're going to just see if we understand a little bit about the pain that the customer is trying to get solved with this ad that we're going to go create. Now, is there a difference between business to business sales or business to consumer sales? Well, a lot of people will go, "Oh, Greg, this doesn't matter. I'm not selling to consumers, I'm selling to businesses." Well, do businesses have people that are the consumers, that people that are the buyer agents, people that are using the products? Absolutely. And in many cases, the person that is making the buying decision is just as humanly sensitive as the consumer, because they're looking at it and they're going, "You know what? If something goes wrong with this product, it's my job, it's my reputation. And if I'm buying the parts that they're going to be using out on the assembly line and something breaks, something goes wrong, that's my reputation, that's my job. I'm scared. So this has to be right." Can we have even more human emotion and even more human sensitivity in a business-to-business sales transaction? People often think business-to-business sales transactions are cold and sterile. They're not. In many cases, we've got human-to-human sales. So how does marketing serve customers? Marketing helps customers find the goods and the services that meet their pain points, meet their wants, needs, and desires. And when they're in that information gathering stage, or when they're in the problem recognition stage, or in the product comparison stage, we use lots of different tools, whether it's Yelp, or whether it's a lot of different websites, or whether it's referrals in our social media channels. Marketing serves customers by helping them through that attention, interest, desire, action stage of ADA, or the consumer buyer decision-making process of problem recognition, information search. So marketing helps customers. It creates value for customers. We are doing a service to customers. In many cases, we're actually bringing information and solutions to the customers that the customer would never even be aware of. So marketing helps customers and businesses find each other and make exchanges that benefit both. And in many cases, marketing is the vocabulary that actually spreads ideas and spreads innovation and brings innovation to society, because without marketing, we would never be sharing key concepts about products, key concepts about new ideas, new inventions. This is what brings innovation out and about to society. So I'm excited about marketing. I love marketing. I think it's a value. I think it's a benefit to society. I think it's ethical. We are connecting the right product with the right customer at the right time, and we create value for the customer. The customer gets more value than what they gave to us, and I think that that's just incredibly exciting. I hope that we're going to have a lot of fun this semester. If you ever have any questions, or if you need any assistance, please just reach out to me, and we will solve any problems that you might have. Dig into D2L. If you're a little bit behind, don't worry about it. Let's briefly look at due dates as our final closing concept for this semester. So I want to share a little bit about how due dates work in my courses. So if we take a look at our due dates here, you'll see that every single assignment has a due date on it, it has a start date, and it has an end date. And I want you to note that the start date will open about 2 weeks before the module starts, and the end date will close about 2 weeks after either the due date of the assignment or the end of the module. So we've got a lot of flexibility in this course. That's not an excuse to turn in homework late. This is just designed to give you the flexibility for real life happening. If you are a weekday student, our assignments are basically built so that there is a workflow that's natural for us to be doing some homework on Monday, some homework on Wednesday, some homework on Friday. If you are a weekend person, then just consider those due dates to be Sunday night. And if you want to make me happy, in a perfect world, all these are due on Sunday night. So you can think that whatever this due date is, think that it's really due, as far as Greg is concerned, it's due by that following Sunday night. So if you're a weekday person, get it done during the week. If you're a weekend person, get it done by Sunday night. But if you have an opportunity to work an extra shift, if a family member gets sick, if there are real life things that are happening, do you have the ability to turn it in a little bit late? In my classes, absolutely you do. So this end date, that's the hard date. That's when things close. So when we find an end date, that's when it goes away. Now, there's a couple that I just cannot change. And so you'll find a few funky ones, like this one right here that says ends December 16th. Because you know what? I can't do anything about a discussion. Once it closes, it's closed. I cannot open it up individually for an individual student. So when I say that this end date is the end date, These are pretty much hard. And so most of our assignments have these 2-week grace periods after the end of them. And that's pretty much the target that you need to think of for the rest of the semester, is that you've got about 2 weeks after the due date, and that's when the assignment actually closes. If you need any help, reach out to me. I'll help you. My email usually has a link in it that has a scheduling link where you can schedule 15, 30, 45, 1 hour meetings with me. So just reach out to me and schedule a meeting with me. This link is also always, it's right here. It's my Calendly link right here. You can always find this link right here on the home page of our course. You just click on that link right there, and you can schedule a 15-minute meeting with me. Very rarely do we need anything more than about the first 5 minutes, and then I can usually get you unstuck from whatever you are stuck on. So if you need anything, just reach out to me, let me know. I'm happy to help you. Talk to you later.